Sarah Martinez moved quickly between the tables. Her black shoes made soft sounds on the shiny marble floor. She carried a silver tray with empty wine glasses. The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel was full of rich people tonight. The room was huge. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. They made rainbow colors dance on the white walls. Gold decorations covered everything. The tables had white cloth and fresh flowers. Red roses and white lilies filled tall glass vases. Sarah had been working since 3 in the afternoon. It was now almost 8 at night. Her feet hurt. Her back was sore. But she kept moving. She needed this job. She needed the money. The people at the tables wore expensive clothes. The women had long dresses that sparkled. Their jewelry caught the light. Diamond earrings, pearl necklaces, gold bracelets that cost more than Sarah made in a year. The men wore black suits with bow ties. Their watches were worth more than her rent. Sarah picked up more empty glasses from table 12. A woman with blonde hair laughed loudly. She was talking about her new house in France. The man next to her nodded. He was drinking wine that cost $200 a bottle. Sarah knew because she had served it. This was the Children's Music Foundation Charity Gala. Every year, rich people came here to give money. They wanted to help kids learn music. Sarah thought this was good. Music was important. But she also knew these people spent more on one dress than most families made in months. She walked toward the kitchen with her tray. On the way, she passed the stage. In the middle was a beautiful black piano. It was a Steinway grand piano. Sarah had seen pictures of pianos like this in magazines. This one was perfect. The black surface was so shiny she could see her reflection. Sarah stopped walking. She looked at the piano. Her heart beat faster. She remembered when she was little. Her grandmother had an old piano in her small house. It was brown and some keys did not work, but Sarah loved it. She spent hours playing songs. "Sarah, move faster," Maria called from across the room. Maria was her supervisor. She was a kind woman, but tonight she was stressed. Everything had to be perfect. Sarah hurried to the kitchen. She put down her tray and picked up another one. This one had small sandwiches and cheese. She walked back to the ballroom. As she served food, Sarah listened to the conversations. Table 5 was talking about their children's private schools. Table 7 discussed their summer homes. Table 9 argued about which yacht to buy next. Sarah thought about her own home. It was a small apartment 20 minutes away by bus. She shared it with her younger brother Miguel. He was 19 years old. Miguel had diabetes. He needed expensive medicine every month. This was why Sarah worked so hard. She remembered 5 years ago. Things were different then. Sarah was 23. She had just finished school, a very good music school called Juilliard in New York. She was the best student in her class. She could play piano better than anyone. Back then, Sarah thought she would be famous. She thought she would play concerts in big halls like this one. People would clap for her. Music critics would write good things about her. She would make lots of money playing piano. But life changed fast. Her parents died in a car accident. Suddenly, Sarah had to take care of Miguel. He was only 14 then. She had to get a job right away. She had to pay for food, rent, and Miguel's medicine. Sarah tried to find work playing piano. But those jobs were hard to get. They did not pay enough. She needed money now, not maybe later. So she became a waitress. At first, she thought it would be temporary, just a few months until she found something better. But months became years. Miguel needed more expensive medicine. Their rent went up. Sarah worked more hours. She was too tired to practice piano. Now she was 28. 5 years had passed. She still worked as a waitress. Miguel was in community college now. He wanted to be a teacher. Sarah was proud of him, but his medicine still cost a lot of money. Sarah walked to table 15. An old man with white hair was talking to a younger woman. Sarah recognized him from pictures in newspapers. He owned several banks. The woman was his daughter. She ran an art gallery. "The pianist tonight should be wonderful," the woman said. "Elena Kozlov is amazing. I heard her play in Vienna last year." Sarah's hand shook a little. Elena Kozlov was famous all over the world. Sarah had watched videos of her playing. She was incredible. Tonight, Elena would play on that beautiful Steinway piano. Sarah finished serving table 15. She walked toward the kitchen again. This time she moved slower. She looked at the piano as she passed. The piano bench was the right height. The keys were clean and white. Sarah could imagine sitting there. She could imagine her fingers touching those keys. She could imagine music filling this big room. For a moment, Sarah forgot where she was. She remembered being 22 years old. She remembered her last concert at Juilliard. She played Chopin that night. The audience stood up and clapped for 5 minutes. Her professor had tears in her eyes. "Excuse me, miss." A voice made Sarah jump. A man at table 3 wanted more wine. Sarah apologized and hurried to help him. The evening continued. Sarah served more food. She cleaned more tables. She listened to more conversations about expensive things. The rich people laughed and talked. They seemed happy. At 9 o'clock, the program would start. The foundation president would make a speech. Then Elena Kozlov would play piano. After that, people would give money to help children learn music. Sarah thought this was strange. Here she was, someone who could play piano very well, but no one knew. She was invisible in her black uniform. She was just the waitress. As she worked, Sarah sometimes hummed songs quietly, old songs her grandmother taught her. Classical pieces she learned at school. No one heard her. The room was too loud with conversations. Miguel was at home now. He was probably watching television or doing homework. Sarah had told him about tonight's event. He knew she was working at a fancy party, but he did not know how much it hurt her to be here. Every time Sarah looked at that piano, she felt something in her chest. It was like hunger, but for music instead of food. She missed playing so much. Sometimes at home, she played on an old keyboard she bought at a thrift store. It was not the same. The keys were plastic. The sound was electronic. But it was all she had. Sarah picked up more empty glasses. The night was still young. Elena Kozlov had not arrived yet. The real program had not started. But already Sarah felt tired in her heart. This was her life now, watching other people live their dreams while she carried their empty glasses. She walked toward the kitchen one more time. The piano waited on the stage, beautiful and silent, ready for someone else to make music. At 8:30, people started to sit down. The charity dinner was about to begin. Sarah and the other waiters moved faster. They brought the last glasses of wine. They cleared away empty plates from the cocktail hour. Sarah was near the stage when she heard someone running. A young man in a black suit came through the back door. His face was red. He looked scared. Sarah recognized him. His name was David. He worked for the event planning company. David ran to a woman in a blue dress. She was standing near the piano. Her name was Jennifer Walsh. She was the event coordinator. Jennifer had been checking everything all day. She wanted tonight to be perfect. "Jennifer," David called. He was breathing hard. "We have a big problem." Jennifer turned around. Her smile disappeared when she saw David's face. "What's wrong?" she asked. "It's Elena Kozlov," David said. He was trying to catch his breath. "She's sick, very sick. She can't come tonight." Sarah stopped moving. She was holding a tray of water glasses. But she forgot about them. She listened carefully. "What do you mean sick?" Jennifer asked. Her voice was quiet, but Sarah could hear the worry. "Food poisoning," David explained. "She ate something bad at lunch. She started feeling sick 2 hours ago. Now she's in the hospital. The doctors say she can't leave." Jennifer's face went white. She looked at the piano. Then she looked at the 300 people sitting at tables. They were all waiting for the program to start. "This can't be happening," Jennifer whispered. "Not tonight. We have the mayor here. We have donors who gave $50,000 each. Elena Kozlov was the main reason many people came." Sarah continued to listen. She moved slowly, pretending to clean tables near the stage. But really, she wanted to hear everything. David pulled out his phone. "I've been calling everyone," he said. "I called the music conservatory.
I called the symphony orchestra.
I called 3 piano teachers. Nobody is available on such short notice." Jennifer started walking in circles. "What about Maria Santos? She plays at the Ritz Hotel sometimes." "She's in Europe," David said. "I already checked." "What about Thomas Chen? He played here last year." "He's performing in Chicago tonight." Jennifer stopped walking. She put her hands on her head. "This is a disaster. People paid $500 for dinner. They came to hear Elena Kozlov play piano. What am I going to tell them?" Sarah's heart was beating fast. She knew those pieces of music. Elena Kozlov was supposed to play 3 songs tonight: Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, Debussy's Clair de Lune, and Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. Sarah had played all of these before. At Juilliard, Rachmaninoff's Concerto No. 2 was her specialty. Her professor said she played it better than students twice her age. Sarah won a competition with that piece. She still remembered every note, but Sarah was just a waitress now. No one here knew about her music education. No one knew she could play piano at all. Jennifer was talking on her phone now. "Hello, Dr. Morrison. This is Jennifer Walsh from the Children's Music Foundation. We have an emergency." She paused. "Yes, Elena Kozlov is sick. Do you know any pianists who could perform tonight? Anyone at all?" Sarah knew that name. Dr. Helena Morrison was her old professor at Juilliard. Dr. Morrison had taught Sarah for 3 years. She was a wonderful teacher and a kind person. "I understand," Jennifer continued. "Thank you anyway." She hung up the phone and looked at David. "Dr. Morrison can't help either. All her good students are busy or too far away." More people started to notice something was wrong. Sarah saw them whispering to each other. The mayor kept looking at his watch. Rich donors were checking their phones. The energy in the room was changing. Sarah wanted to help. The words were right there in her mouth. She wanted to say, "I can play piano. I can play those songs," but she was scared. What if she made a mistake? What if people laughed at her? What if she forgot the music? Also, she was wearing her waitress uniform. Black pants and a white shirt. Not a concert dress. She looked like she belonged in the kitchen, not on stage. Jennifer was making another phone call. "Hello, Metropolitan Opera. This is an emergency. Do you have a pianist who could come to the Meridian Hotel right now?" She waited. "I see. Thank you." David was looking at his tablet. "I'm checking online," he said. "Maybe someone posted that they're available for last-minute gigs." "Keep looking," Jennifer said. "We have 15 minutes before the program starts. After that, I'll have to make an announcement." Sarah imagined Jennifer walking on stage. She would tell 300 disappointed people that there would be no piano music tonight. People would be upset. They might ask for their money back. The charity would lose thousands of dollars. Children who needed music lessons would not get help. Sarah thought about kids like herself when she was young. Poor kids who loved music but could not afford lessons. This charity gala was supposed to help them. Sarah moved closer to Jennifer and David. She was still carrying her tray, but her hands were shaking now. "What about recorded music?" David suggested. "We could play Elena Kozlov's CD." "Absolutely not," Jennifer said. "People came for a live performance. Playing a recording would be insulting. Then what do we do?" Jennifer looked at the audience again. People were getting restless. Some were standing up to talk to friends at other tables. Others were checking their phones. The excitement from earlier was fading. "I think we have to cancel the performance part," Jennifer said quietly. "We'll just do the dinner and the speeches. Maybe people will still donate money." "But the performance was the main event," David said. "People will be so disappointed." Sarah couldn't listen anymore. Her feet moved before her brain could stop them. She walked toward Jennifer and David. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. "Excuse me," Sarah said softly. Jennifer and David turned around. They looked surprised to see a waitress interrupting their conversation. "I'm sorry," Jennifer said, "but we're dealing with an emergency right now. Could you please continue serving the guests?" "That's what I want to talk about," Sarah said. Her voice was shaky. "The emergency. The piano player who can't come." David looked confused. "What about it?" Sarah took a deep breath. This was the scariest thing she had ever done. "I think I might be able to help." Jennifer and David stared at her. For a moment, nobody said anything. "I don't understand," Jennifer finally said. "How could you help?" "I can play piano," Sarah said. The words came out in a rush. "I went to music school. I know the songs Elena Kozlov was supposed to play tonight." Jennifer's eyebrows went up. "You're a waitress." "Yes," Sarah said. "But I used to be a pianist. I studied at Juilliard. I graduated 5 years ago." David laughed, but not in a mean way. "This is crazy," he said. "A waitress who went to Juilliard?" Sarah felt her cheeks get hot. She knew how strange it sounded. "I know it seems impossible," she said. "But it's true. I can prove it." Jennifer looked at Sarah carefully. She saw a young woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She saw tired eyes and hands that were rough from washing dishes. She did not see a concert pianist. "Even if you're telling the truth," Jennifer said slowly, "this is a very important event. The people here expect professional quality. No offense, but serving tables is very different from performing on stage. I understand, Sarah said, but I really can play. And right now I'm the only option you have. Jennifer and David stared at Sarah. They did not know what to think. The idea seemed impossible. A waitress who could play piano like Elena Kozlov? It sounded like something from a movie. Look, Jennifer said carefully, I appreciate that you want to help. But this is not a small coffee shop. This is the biggest charity event of the year. We have the mayor here. We have newspaper reporters. We have people who know classical music very well. Sarah's hands were shaking. She almost walked away. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe she should just go back to serving tables and forget about the piano. But then she thought about the children. She thought about kids who wanted to learn music but had no money, just like she was when she was young. This charity was supposed to help them. If the event failed, those children would not get help. Please, Sarah said. Just listen to me for 1 minute. Maria appeared beside them. She had been watching from across the room. Sarah, what are you doing? Table 8 needs more bread. Maria, Sarah said. I need to tell them something important. Tell them what? Maria looked confused. Sarah looked at the 3 people around her. Jennifer, David, and Maria. All of them were staring at her. She felt very small in her waitress uniform. I never told anyone at work, Sarah began, but I went to music school. A very good music school in New York called Juilliard. Maria's mouth opened. Juilliard? You mean the famous one? Yes, Sarah said. I studied piano there for 4 years. I graduated with the highest grades in my class. But why are you working as a waitress? David asked, Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She had never told this story to anyone at work. It was too painful. But now she had to explain. My parents died 5 years ago, she said quietly. Car accident. I had to take care of my younger brother. He was only 14. He has diabetes. The medicine costs a lot of money every month. Jennifer's face changed. She looked less suspicious and more interested. I tried to find work as a pianist, Sarah continued. But those jobs don't pay enough money fast enough. My brother needed food and medicine right away, so I became a waitress. What about your music? Maria asked. Did you just stop playing? I practice at home sometimes, Sarah said. I have an old keyboard. But it's not the same as a real piano. And I'm always too tired after work. Sarah wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I never stopped loving music. Every night when I serve at events like this, I listen to the performances. I remember what it felt like to play for people. Jennifer was thinking hard. You said you know the pieces Elena Kozlov was supposed to play tonight? Yes, Sarah said. Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, Debussy's Clair de Lune, and Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. Those are very difficult pieces, David said. I know. Rachmaninoff's concerto was my best piece at school. I won a competition with it. Jennifer looked at her watch. They had 10 minutes before the program was supposed to start. The audience was getting more restless. Some people were already complaining about the delay. Even if everything you're saying is true, Jennifer said, I can't just put you on stage. People paid a lot of money tonight. What if you make mistakes? What if you freeze up? I could lose my job. Sarah understood. Jennifer was taking a huge risk. If Sarah played badly, everyone would blame Jennifer. The charity would look foolish. The donors might never come back. I know it's scary, Sarah said. It's scary for me, too. I haven't performed for real people in 5 years. Maria put her hand on Sarah's shoulder. In all the time I've known you, you never mentioned music school. It hurt too much to talk about, Sarah said. It felt like talking about a different person. The old Sarah who had dreams. The new Sarah just tries to pay bills. But you're still the same person, Maria said. You still have the same hands. You still have the same brain. Jennifer was walking in small circles again. She was trying to make an impossible decision. Cancel the performance and disappoint everyone? Or trust a waitress she had never heard play? Is there any way to prove what you're saying? Jennifer asked. Do you have a diploma? Or a recording? Sarah shook her head. My diploma is at home. I don't have any recordings on my phone. What about references? Teachers who remember you? Sarah's heart jumped. Dr. Helena Morrison. She was my main teacher. You called her 20 minutes ago. Dr. Morrison taught you? Jennifer asked. For 3 years. She knows me very well. Call her back. Ask her about Sarah Martinez. Jennifer looked at David. He shrugged. We don't have any other options, he said. Maybe it's worth a phone call. Jennifer dialed Dr. Morrison's number again. This time she put the phone on speaker so everyone could hear. Dr. Morrison, this is Jennifer Walsh again. I'm sorry to bother you, but I have a strange question. Do you remember a student named Sarah Martinez? There was silence for a moment. Then Dr. Morrison's voice came through the phone, excited and surprised. Sarah Martinez? Of course I remember her. She was one of my best students ever. Brilliant pianist. Beautiful technique. Why do you ask? Jennifer looked at Sarah with new eyes. She's here with me right now. She says she can perform tonight instead of Elena Kozlov. Sarah is there? Dr. Morrison sounded amazed. How wonderful. But what is she doing at your event? She works here, Jennifer said carefully. As a waitress. Dr. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was sad. Oh, Sarah, I wondered what happened to you. You stopped returning my calls after graduation. Sarah took the phone. Dr. Morrison? It's me. My dear girl, Dr. Morrison said. I've thought about you so many times. You had such a bright future. What happened? Sarah explained about her parents and her brother. Dr. Morrison listened without interrupting. I'm so sorry, Dr. Morrison said when Sarah finished. You should have called me. I would have helped you find music work. I was scared, Sarah said, and everything happened so fast. But can she really perform tonight? Jennifer interrupted. It's been 5 years since she played professionally. Let me ask you something, Sarah, Dr. Morrison said. Do you still practice? Yes, Sarah said. Not as much as I should, but I play my keyboard almost every night. And do you remember Rachmaninoff's second concerto? Sarah closed her eyes. She could hear the music in her head. Every note. Every rhythm. Yes, I remember all of it. Then you can do this, Dr. Morrison said firmly. Sarah was the most talented student I taught in 20 years. Her performance of that concerto was extraordinary. If she says she remembers it, then she remembers it. Jennifer looked around. The audience was getting louder. People were starting to stand up and complain. The mayor was looking at his watch and frowning. Dr. Morrison, Jennifer said, if Sarah performs tonight and it goes badly, this charity will be ruined. Children who need music lessons won't get help. Are you sure about this? I am absolutely sure, Dr. Morrison said. Sarah Martinez is a gifted pianist. If she's willing to try, you should let her. Jennifer hung up the phone. She looked at Sarah for a long time. Sarah stood there in her waitress uniform waiting for an answer. This is the craziest thing I've ever done, Jennifer finally said. But we're out of time and out of options. She turned to David. Tell the sound technician to get ready. Tell the lighting person we have a performer. Then she looked back at Sarah. Are you absolutely sure you can do this? Sarah thought about her brother at home. She thought about the children who needed help. She thought about the music that had been quiet inside her for 5 years. Yes, she said. I can do this. Jennifer looked at Sarah one more time. Okay, she said. But we need to do this right. You can't go on stage looking like a waitress, and what do you mean? Sarah asked. You need a proper dress. Something that looks professional. Jennifer turned to Maria. Is there a lost and found here? Maybe someone left clothes behind? Maria shook her head. Nothing fancy enough for a concert. David was checking his phone. The program is supposed to start in 5 minutes. People are getting angry. Just then a tall man in an expensive suit walked over to them. He had silver hair and looked very important. Sarah recognized him. His name was James Wellington III. His family owned the Meridian Hotel and several others. Excuse me, James said to Jennifer. My guests are asking questions. When will the performance begin? Jennifer looked nervous. Mr. Wellington, we have a small problem. Elena Kozlov is sick. She can't perform tonight. James's face went dark. What? This is unacceptable. People came here specifically to hear her play. I know, sir. But we think we found a replacement. James looked around the group. He saw Jennifer, David, Maria, and Sarah in her waitress uniform. Who? Jennifer pointed to Sarah. This young woman. She's a trained pianist. James stared at Sarah. He looked her up and down. He saw her simple clothes and her tired face. You're joking? No, sir, Jennifer said. She went to Juilliard. Her professor confirmed she's very talented. A waitress went to Juilliard. James laughed, but not in a nice way. That's ridiculous. Do you know who's in that audience? The mayor of the city, newspaper critics, People who donate millions of dollars to the arts. You want to embarrass them with some amateur? Sarah felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to defend herself, but she was scared of this powerful man. Sir, Jennifer said carefully, we don't have any other choice. It's either her or no performance at all. James looked at his expensive watch. This is a disaster. My hotel's reputation will be ruined. Please, Sarah said quietly. Just give me a chance. I really can play. James turned to look at her. His eyes were cold. Young lady, do you understand what's at stake here? This event raises hundreds of thousands of dollars for children's music education. If you fail, you'll hurt those children. That's exactly why I want to help, Sarah said. Her voice was stronger now. I was one of those children once. Poor kid who loved music but couldn't afford lessons. That's a nice story, James said. But this isn't a charity case. This is business, Maria stepped forward. Mr. Wellington, I've worked with Sarah for 2 years. She's honest and hardworking. If she says she can do this, I believe her. You believe her? James looked amazed. Based on what? Have you ever heard her play piano? No, Maria admitted. But then your opinion means nothing. James turned back to Jennifer. This is insane. I won't allow it. Sarah felt tears starting again. She had come so close. For a few minutes she thought she might get to play music again. But this man could stop everything. Jennifer was desperate. Sir, we have 300 people waiting. If we cancel now, they'll be furious. Some might demand their money back. Better to cancel than to fail completely, James said. Wait, David said. He was still looking at his phone. I have an idea. What if we test her first? Test her how? James asked. The piano is already set up. She could play one piece right now. Just for us. If she's good, we let her perform. If she's bad, we cancel. James thought about this. The audience was getting very restless. He could hear people talking loudly. Some were starting to leave their tables. Fine, he said. One song. But make it quick. Sarah's heart started beating very fast. This was her chance. But what if she messed up? What if her hands were too nervous? What if she forgot the music? What should I play? She asked. Something we all know, James said. Something simple. Sarah walked toward the piano. Her legs felt weak. Jennifer, David, Maria, and James followed her. A few other people noticed them walking to the stage. They started watching too. Sarah sat down on the piano bench. The keys were beautiful, black and white, perfectly clean. She put her hands on them gently. They felt cold at first, then warm. What are you going to play? Jennifer asked. Sarah thought for a moment. She wanted something that would show her skill but not be too long. Chopin's Minute Waltz, she said. James rolled his eyes. Of course. Something everyone's heard before. Sarah closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. Then she began to play. The first notes filled the air around the piano. They were soft and delicate. Sarah's fingers moved easily across the keys. She had played this piece hundreds of times. As she played, more people in the audience turned to look. The music was beautiful and clear. Sarah's technique was perfect. Her timing was excellent. James stopped looking bored. His eyebrows went up in surprise. The music was professional quality. Better than professional? It was magical. Jennifer put her hand over her mouth. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. This was the same woman who had been serving wine just 10 minutes ago. Sarah played faster as the piece got more exciting. Her fingers danced over the keys. She felt the music flowing through her hands into the piano. She had missed this feeling so much. When she finished, there was silence. Then someone in the audience started clapping. Then more people joined in. Soon half the ballroom was applauding. Sarah opened her eyes. She looked at James. His expression had completely changed. That was, he began, then stopped. How long did you say it's been since you performed? 5 years, Sarah said. And you can play the pieces Elena Kozlov was supposed to play? Yes, James looked at the audience. They were still clapping. Some people were standing up to see who was playing piano. The Rachmaninoff concerto is very difficult, he said. I know. It was my specialty in school. If you make mistakes, everyone will know. Classical music fans are very critical. I understand. James was quiet for a long moment. He was a businessman. He made decisions based on facts and money. But he had just heard something extraordinary. Jennifer, he said finally. Get her a dress. Something appropriate for the stage. Jennifer looked confused. Sir? We're going to let her perform, James said. But she can't do it in a waitress uniform. Sarah felt dizzy with relief and terror. Really? Really, James said. But I want to be clear about something. If this goes badly, it's not just your reputation at stake. It's mine too. It's the hotels, it's the charities. I won't let you down, Sarah said. You better not. James turned to Jennifer. How long do we need to get her ready? 10 minutes, Jennifer said. Maybe 15. Fine, I'll go tell the audience there's been a small delay. I'll say Elena Kozlov is running late, but we have a wonderful surprise performer. What if they ask who it is? David asked. I'll tell them they'll have to wait and see. James smiled for the first time that night. After what I just heard, I'm actually curious myself. As James walked back to the audience, Sarah remained at the piano. She couldn't believe this was really happening. In 15 minutes, she would be performing for 300 rich people. People who expected perfection. Are you scared? Maria asked. Sarah nodded. Terrified. Good, Jennifer said. That means you care. Now let's find you something to wear. As they hurried backstage, Sarah thought about her brother Miguel. He was at home probably doing homework. He had no idea his sister was about to perform at the biggest event of the year. Sarah thought about all the children this charity helped. Kids like she used to be. Poor kids who dreamed of making music. Tonight she would play for them. Jennifer led Sarah to a small room behind the stage. Wait here, she said. I'll find you something to wear. Sarah sat on a folding chair and tried to calm down. Her hands were shaking. She could hear the audience through the wall. People were talking loudly. Some sounded impatient. Others sounded curious about the surprise performer James had mentioned. 5 minutes later, Jennifer came back with a long black dress. This belongs to one of the hotel staff, she said. She keeps it here for special events. I think it will fit you. Sarah held up the dress. It was simple but elegant. Much nicer than anything she owned. Are you sure she won't mind? She said she'd be honored if you wore it. Jennifer smiled. The whole staff is talking about you. Word spreads fast in a hotel. Sarah changed clothes quickly. The dress fit almost perfectly. It was a little long, but not too bad. Jennifer helped her fix her hair. She took out Sarah's ponytail and let her dark hair fall around her shoulders. You look beautiful, Jennifer said. Like a real pianist. I am a real pianist, Sarah said quietly. I just forgot for a while. There was a knock on the door. David peeked in. It's time, he said. James just finished his announcement. The audience is very excited. Sarah's stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. What did he tell them? That Elena Kozlov couldn't come, but we have a wonderful local artist who will play instead. He said you trained at one of the best music schools in the country. He didn't say I work here. No, he just said you're very talented. Sarah stood up and smoothed down her dress. In the mirror, she looked like a different person. Not a tired waitress, but a professional musician. Remember, Jennifer said, these people want you to succeed. They came here to hear beautiful music. Give them that and they'll love you. Sarah nodded, but she was still scared. What if her memory failed? What if her fingers didn't work right? What if everyone could tell she hadn't performed in 5 years? They walked toward the stage. Sarah could hear her heartbeat in her ears. The sound was so loud she wondered if other people could hear it too. Behind the curtain, Sarah stopped. Through a gap, she could see the audience. 300 people in expensive clothes. She saw the mayor in the front row. She saw newspaper reporters with cameras. She saw wealthy donors who had paid $500 each to be here. I can't do this, she whispered. Yes, you can, Maria said. She had followed them backstage. Sarah, I've watched you work for 2 years. You never give up. You never complain. You're stronger than you know. But this is different, Sarah said. If I mess up, everyone will see. And if you succeed, everyone will see that too. Maria took Sarah's hands. Those people out there, they're not your enemies. They're here to support children's music education, just like you want to do. Sarah looked through the gap again. She saw a little girl sitting with her parents. The girl was maybe 8 years old. She had a small violin case by her chair. This was probably one of the children the charity helped. Sarah thought about herself at that age. Poor kid from a small apartment. No money for piano lessons. But her grandmother had taught her to play on that old broken piano. Music had saved her life. It had given her hope and joy and purpose. Maybe tonight she could help save other children's lives too. Okay, Sarah said. I'm ready. Jennifer adjusted Sarah's dress one more time. Remember to bow after each piece. And smile. The audience wants to see that you're enjoying yourself. What if I forget the music? You won't, David said. Your teacher said you were extraordinary. Trust yourself. James appeared beside them. How are you feeling? He asked Sarah, nervous. Good. That means it matters to you. James looked different now. Earlier he had been cold and suspicious. Now he seemed almost kind. I've been thinking about what you said. About being a poor kid who loved music. Yes? My grandmother was like that too. She grew up with nothing. But she loved to sing. She never got the chance to perform for people. Tonight you're performing for her too. Sarah felt tears in her eyes, but she blinked them away. She couldn't cry right before going on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, they heard the announcer's voice over the speakers. Please welcome our pianist for this evening. This was it. Sarah walked to the edge of the curtain. Jennifer squeezed her hand. Break a leg, she whispered. Sarah stepped onto the stage. The lights were very bright. For a moment she couldn't see the audience clearly, but she could feel their attention. 300 people watching her, waiting for her to make music. She walked to the piano bench and sat down. The Steinway grand piano looked even more beautiful from this angle. The keys seemed to glow under the stage lights. Sarah adjusted the bench height slightly. She put her hands on the keys but didn't play yet. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. In her mind she could hear her grandmother's voice. Music is not about the notes on the page, Mija. Music is about the feelings in your heart. Sarah opened her eyes. She looked out at the audience. She found the little girl with the violin case. She smiled at her. Then she began to play. The first piece was Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, soft and gentle like a lullaby. Sarah's fingers moved across the keys with confidence. The music filled the ballroom like warm light. The audience became very quiet. People stopped whispering. They stopped moving. They just listened. Sarah felt the music flowing through her. All the tiredness from 5 years of waiting tables disappeared. All the sadness from giving up her dreams melted away. She was a pianist again. She was home. As she played, Sarah remembered her last performance at Juilliard. How proud her parents had been. How bright her future had seemed. Tonight felt like picking up that broken dream and making it whole again. The Chopin piece ended with a soft, delicate phrase. Sarah let the last note fade completely before lifting her hands from the keys. The silence lasted for just a moment. Then the audience erupted in applause. Not polite charity event clapping, but real enthusiasm. People were surprised by how good she was. Sarah stood and bowed. When she looked up, she saw amazement on people's faces. They hadn't expected this level of skill from an unknown performer. She sat back down for the second piece. Debussy's Clair de Lune, Moonlight in music form. This piece was more mysterious and dreamlike than the Chopin. Sarah played it perfectly. Her technique was flawless. But more than that, she played with deep emotion. Every note had meaning. Every phrase told a story. In the audience, people were leaning forward in their chairs. Music critics were taking notes. The mayor had stopped checking his phone. Even the waiters had stopped working to listen. Sarah finished Clair de Lune to even stronger applause. Now people were really excited. They realized they were hearing something special, but Sarah knew the hardest part was still coming. Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. This was the piece that would prove whether she really belonged on this stage. Sarah stood up and walked to the microphone at the side of the piano. Her voice was shaky at first, but then grew stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, 5 years ago I thought my dream of being a pianist was over. Tonight you've given me the chance to remember who I really am. This last piece is dedicated to all the children who love music, but think their dreams are impossible. Dreams are never impossible. Sometimes they just take longer than we expect. The audience applauded before she even started playing. Sarah sat back down at the piano. She put her hands on the keys for Rachmaninoff's masterpiece. This was the moment that would change everything. Sarah placed her fingers on the keys for Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. This was the piece that had won her the competition at Juilliard. This was the piece that had made her professors believe she could be a star. But that was 5 years ago. Could she still play it perfectly? Sarah closed her eyes and remembered the first time she learned this piece. She was 21 years old. Her professor, Dr. Morrison, had chosen it specially for her. This concerto needs someone with deep emotions, Dr. Morrison had said. Someone who understands both joy and sadness. Sarah understood both of those feelings very well now. She began with the soft, slow opening. The melody was like someone remembering a beautiful dream. Sarah's fingers moved gently across the keys. Each note was clear and perfect. In the audience, people held their breath. They could tell this was going to be something extraordinary. The Rachmaninoff Concerto was one of the most difficult pieces in classical music. Most pianists spent years learning to play it well. As Sarah played, the music grew stronger and more passionate. Her whole body moved with the rhythm. She wasn't just playing the notes. She was living the music. The ballroom had perfect acoustics. Every sound from the piano reached every corner of the room. People in the back could hear the softest whispers. People in the front could feel the powerful passages vibrate in their chests. Sarah played the first movement with incredible skill. Her fingers flew over the keys during the fast sections. They moved like dancers, graceful and precise. During the slow sections, each note was like a jewel, beautiful and carefully placed. The music told a story. It spoke of love and loss, hope and despair, triumph and defeat. Sarah had lived all of these emotions in the past 5 years. She poured them all into the music. In the front row, the mayor leaned forward. He had been to hundreds of concerts in his life. He had heard famous pianists from around the world, but he had never heard anyone play with such pure emotion. Behind him, a music critic from the city's biggest newspaper was writing furiously. She wrote, "Unknown pianist delivers performance of stunning beauty and technical perfection." At table 12, an elderly woman started crying. The music reminded her of her late husband. They had danced to this piece at their wedding 50 years ago. Near the back, a young man who taught piano at the local college shook his head in amazement. He had been teaching for 10 years, but he had never heard a student play like this. This was master-level performance. Sarah finished the first movement and moved immediately into the second. This part was slower and more thoughtful. It was like a conversation between the piano and an imaginary orchestra. As she played, Sarah thought about her brother Miguel. He was at home, probably watching television or studying. He had no idea his sister was creating magic in this ballroom. After tonight, maybe she could buy him a better apartment. Maybe she could afford better medicine for his diabetes. The second movement built to a powerful climax, then settled into gentle beauty. Sarah's face showed every emotion of the music. When the melody was sad, her expression was sorrowful. When it was joyful, she smiled slightly. People in the audience were mesmerized. They forgot they were at a charity dinner. They forgot about their expensive clothes and jewelry. They just listened to the most beautiful music many of them had ever heard. At table 5, a wealthy businessman who owned several art galleries was already planning. After the performance, he would ask Sarah to play at his next gallery opening. He would pay her whatever she wanted. At table 15, the president of the city's symphony orchestra was thinking the same thing. This young woman needed to audition for them immediately. She was exactly the kind of talent they had been looking for. Sarah began the third and final movement. This was the most difficult part. Fast, powerful, and technically challenging. Many professional pianists made mistakes in this section, but Sarah played it flawlessly. Her hands moved so quickly they were almost a blur. The music filled the ballroom like a thunderstorm. Loud passages shook the crystal chandeliers. Soft passages made people hold their breath. The melody soared and danced. It was like watching a bird fly or waves crashing on a beach. It was nature itself turned into sound. Sarah remembered every note perfectly. 5 years of waiting tables hadn't erased her musical memory. If anything, all the sadness and struggle had made her playing more powerful. She understood the music in a way she never had as a young student. As the piece reached its final climax, Sarah played with incredible passion. Her whole body was involved. She leaned into the powerful chords. She caressed the gentle phrases. She was completely one with the music. In the audience, people were on the edge of their seats. Some were crying openly. Others sat with their mouths open in amazement. Everyone could tell they were witnessing something special. The music built to its final, dramatic conclusion. Sarah's hands crashed down on the keys for the last powerful chords. The sound echoed through the ballroom like thunder. Then, silence. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The music had been so beautiful, so perfect, that people needed time to believe it was real. Sarah sat at the piano with her hands still on the keys. She had done it. She had played the entire concerto without a single mistake. Better than that, She had played it with more emotion and skill than ever before in her life. Slowly, she lifted her hands from the keys. She turned to face the audience. That's when the magic truly began. One person started clapping, then another. Then everyone in the ballroom was on their feet, applauding wildly. The sound was deafening. People weren't just clapping politely. They were cheering. They were shouting, "Bravo!" Some were wiping tears from their eyes. Others were hugging the people next to them. Sarah stood up and bowed. When she looked at the audience, she saw 300 people giving her the longest standing ovation of her life. In the back of the room, Maria was crying with joy. Jennifer was clapping so hard her hands hurt. David was filming with his phone, trying to capture this incredible moment. James Wellington stood in the front row, applauding with everyone else. Earlier that evening, he had thought Sarah was just a waitress with impossible dreams. Now he realized he had witnessed one of the greatest performances he had ever seen. The applause continued for 5 full minutes. People didn't want it to end. They wanted to keep showing their appreciation for what Sarah had just given them. Finally, the applause began to fade. Sarah bowed one more time, then walked toward the side of the stage. But the audience wasn't ready to let her go. "Encore!" Someone shouted. "More!" called another voice. Soon the entire ballroom was chanting, "Encore! Encore! Encore!" Sarah stopped walking. She looked back at the piano, then at the audience. These people wanted to hear more of her music. She walked back to the piano and sat down. Without saying a word, she began to play one more piece, something simple and beautiful, something from her heart. As the gentle melody filled the room, Sarah knew her life had just changed forever. She was no longer just a waitress who used to play piano. She was a pianist again, and this time, nothing would stop her from following her dreams. Sarah finished her encore piece and stood up from the piano bench. The audience was still on their feet, clapping with incredible enthusiasm. She had never experienced anything like this, not even at her graduation concert from Juilliard. She bowed deeply, trying to show how grateful she felt. When she looked up, she saw tears in many eyes. These wealthy, sophisticated people had been moved by her music in a way that surprised even them. As the applause finally began to slow down, James Wellington walked onto the stage. He had a microphone in his hand and a huge smile on his face. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice carrying over the sound system, "I think we can all agree that what we just heard was absolutely extraordinary." The audience cheered again. "I must confess something to you," James continued. "When I first learned that Elena Kozlov couldn't perform tonight, I was worried. Very worried. This is our biggest fundraising event of the year." He looked at Sarah, who was standing next to the piano. "But sometimes, the best surprises come from the most unexpected places." James turned back to the audience. "The young woman you just heard play is Sarah Martinez. Until this evening, she has been working here at the Meridian Hotel as a waitress." A gasp went through the crowd. People looked at each other in amazement. A waitress had just given them one of the most beautiful concerts of their lives? "Sarah graduated from Juilliard 5 years ago with the highest honors," James explained. "But life took her in a different direction. She has been working multiple jobs to support her younger brother who has diabetes." Sarah felt her cheeks get warm. She hadn't expected James to tell her personal story to everyone. "Tonight," James continued, "Sarah stepped up when we needed her most. She didn't just save our event. She gave us something magical." The audience applauded again, but this time it was different. Before, they had been applauding her talent. Now they were applauding her courage and her sacrifice. James walked over to Sarah and handed her the microphone. "Would you like to say a few words?" Sarah took the microphone with shaking hands. She looked out at 300 faces, all watching her with admiration and curiosity. "I don't know what to say," she began. Her voice was soft and nervous. "This evening has been like a dream." She paused, trying to find the right words. 5 years ago, I thought my music career was over. I thought I would never play for an audience again. Tonight, you gave me back something I thought I had lost forever." Several people in the audience nodded. They understood what it meant to lose something important and find it again. "But this isn't really about me," Sarah continued. Her voice grew stronger. "This is about all the children who love music but can't afford lessons. Children like I was when I was young." She looked around the room. "My grandmother taught me to play on an old broken piano. Most of the keys didn't work properly. But she showed me that music isn't about having perfect instruments or expensive clothes. Music is about having passion in your heart. The little girl with the violin case was listening carefully. Her parents were smiling and nodding. The Children's Music Foundation helps kids like that little girl, Sarah said, pointing toward the child. Kids who have talent but need someone to believe in them. Tonight you believed in me. Please continue to believe in them too. The audience began applauding before Sarah even finished speaking. When she handed the microphone back to James, people were cheering again. Thank you, Sarah, James said. And now let's talk about the real purpose of tonight's event. Raising money for children's music education. What happened next surprised everyone, including James. Throughout the evening, people had been pledging donations. Before Sarah's performance, the total had been about $200,000. This was good, but not exceptional. After Sarah's performance, something amazing happened. People started raising their hands to make new pledges, bigger pledges than they had originally planned. The Johnson Family Foundation pledges $50,000, called out a woman at table 8. The Morrison Trust pledges $75,000, shouted a man near the back. I pledge $100,000 personally, announced the mayor. James could barely keep up with all the new donations. People were writing checks and making phone calls to their financial advisors. The performance had inspired them to give more generously than ever before. Within 30 minutes, the total donations for the evening had reached over $600,000. This was 3 times more than any previous year. A music critic from the city's main newspaper approached the stage. Mr. Wellington, she called out. Could I interview Ms. Martinez for tomorrow's paper? Before James could answer, other reporters were asking the same thing. News about Sarah's performance was already spreading on social media. People who had been at the event were posting videos and photos online. Sarah felt overwhelmed by all the attention. An hour ago, she had been serving wine to these same people. Now they wanted to interview her and take her picture. Dr. Morrison, who had been sitting in the audience, came up to the stage. Sarah, she called out. My dear brilliant student. Sarah ran to hug her former professor. Dr. Morrison, I can't believe you're here. I came as soon as Jennifer called me back, Dr. Morrison said. I had to see this for myself. And my dear, you were even better than I remembered. Really? Really, you've grown as a musician. All the experiences you've had, all the challenges you've faced, they've made your playing deeper and more meaningful. As they talked, more people approached. The president of the city's symphony orchestra wanted to schedule an audition. A concert promoter offered to book Sarah for solo performances. A recording company representative gave her his business card. Sarah's head was spinning. Too much was happening too fast. Maria appeared at her side. Sarah, honey, you need to sit down. You look like you're about to faint. I feel like I might, Sarah admitted. James cleared the stage area so Sarah could have some space, but people kept approaching with offers and congratulations. Ms. Martinez, said a woman in an elegant blue dress. I run a music school for underprivileged children. Would you consider teaching for us? Ms. Martinez, said a man in a tuxedo. I organize concerts for charity. We would love to have you perform at our next event. Ms. Martinez, said another woman. I write for Classical Music magazine. Our readers would love to hear your story. Sarah listened to all the offers with amazement. A few hours ago, she had been worried about paying next month's rent. Now people were offering her more opportunities than she could handle. But the most important moment came when the little girl with the violin case approached the stage with her parents. Excuse me, the girl said shyly. Are you the piano lady? Sarah knelt down to the girl's level. Yes, I am. What's your name? Emma. I'm 8 years old. I play violin. That's wonderful, Emma. How long have you been playing? 2 years. My teacher says I'm good, but my family can't afford advanced lessons. Sarah's heart melted. This was exactly why the Children's Music Foundation existed. Emma, can I tell you a secret? The little girl nodded eagerly. When I was your age, my family couldn't afford lessons either, but I kept practicing anyway, and look what happened tonight. Emma's eyes got big. Do you think I could play on a stage like this someday? If you keep practicing and never give up on your dreams, you can do anything, Sarah said. Emma's parents were wiping away tears. The father stepped forward. Ms. Martinez, thank you for showing our daughter that dreams really can come true. As Sarah hugged little Emma, she realized this was the most important moment of the entire evening. More important than all the applause and offers and attention, she had inspired a child to keep believing in music, and that child would inspire others. The cycle would continue. This was why music mattered. This was why tonight had been so important, not just for Sarah but for everyone who had heard her play. 3 weeks after the charity gala, Sarah's life had changed completely. She was sitting in a beautiful office in downtown, meeting with representatives from 3 different record companies. All of them wanted to sign her to recording contracts. "Ms. Martinez," said the woman from Classical Music Records, "we've never seen such public response to a new artist. The video of your performance has been viewed over 2 million times online." Sarah still couldn't believe it. Someone had recorded her Rachmaninoff performance on their phone and posted it on social media. Within days, it had spread around the world. Music lovers everywhere were talking about the mysterious Waitress pianist. "The offers we're making are very generous," said the man from International Artists. "Full album recording, concert tour, marketing support. Everything you need to build a successful career." Sarah listened carefully to all the proposals. A month ago, she would have accepted any of these offers immediately. But now she had learned to think more carefully about her choices. "I appreciate all your interest," she said, "but I need some time to decide. My life has been moving very fast lately." This was true. Since the gala, Sarah had been busier than ever. She had given interviews to 5 newspapers and 2 television stations. She had auditioned for the City Symphony Orchestra and been offered a position as their guest soloist. She had received invitations to perform at concerts in 4 different cities. Most importantly, James Wellington had offered her a permanent position at the Meridian Hotel, not as a waitress, but as their resident pianist and music director. "You would perform for special events," James had explained. "You would also help us plan concerts and music programs. The salary is 3 times what you were making as a waitress." Sarah had accepted immediately. For the first time in 5 years, she had a job that used her musical training. And the salary was enough to pay for Miguel's medicine with money left over. Miguel had been amazed by everything that happened. "My sister is famous," he told everyone at his college. He was prouder of Sarah than she was of herself. "The best part," Miguel said, "is that you're happy again. You've been sad for so long. Now you smile all the time." This was true. Sarah felt like she had been sleeping for 5 years and finally woken up. Music was back in her life and everything else felt possible again. Dr. Morrison had also been busy on Sarah's behalf. She had contacted several prestigious music competitions and suggested that Sarah enter them. "You're still young," she told Sarah. "You could have an international career if you want it." But the most meaningful opportunity came from an unexpected source. The Children's Music Foundation had called with a special request. "Sarah," said the foundation's president, "your performance raised more money than we've ever collected in a single night. We want to start a new program and we'd like you to be involved." "What kind of program?" Sarah asked. "We want to create scholarships specifically for talented students who can't afford advanced music training. We're calling them the Sarah Martinez Scholarships." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "You want to name them after me? Your story has inspired so many people. Young musicians who thought their dreams were impossible now believe they can succeed. We want to help make that happen." Sarah accepted immediately. The program would provide full scholarships to 50 students each year. It would pay for lessons, instruments, and even college tuition for music majors. "But I want to be personally involved," Sarah said. "I don't just want my name on the scholarships. I want to teach some of the students myself." The foundation loved this idea. They arranged for Sarah to teach master classes twice a month. She would work with the most promising scholarship recipients, helping them develop their skills. Sarah's first master class was held at the Meridian Hotel's ballroom, on the same stage where she had given her breakthrough performance. 15 young pianists ages 12 to 18 came to learn from her. Among them was Emma, the little girl with the violin who had approached Sarah after the gala. Her parents had applied for one of the scholarships, and Emma had been accepted. "Ms. Martinez," Emma said when she saw Sarah, "I've been practicing every day since I met you." "That's wonderful, Emma. Are you still playing violin?" "Yes, but I'm learning piano too." "I want to be like you." Sarah worked with each student individually, helping them with technique and interpretation, but she also talked to them about perseverance and believing in themselves. "Music is not just about playing the right notes," she told them. It's about expressing your feelings and telling stories. Each of you has a unique story to tell through your music. One student, a 13-year-old boy named Carlos, was particularly talented but very shy. "I get nervous when people listen to me play," he admitted. "I understand," Sarah said. "I was terrified when I performed at the gala. But being nervous means you care about doing well. That's a good thing." She shared her own story with the students, how she had given up music for 5 years, how she had thought her dreams were over, how one unexpected opportunity had changed everything. "The most important thing," she told them, "is to never completely give up on your dreams. Even if you have to put them aside for a while, keep them alive in your heart. You never know when you'll get another chance." After the master class, Sarah stayed late to practice. She was preparing for her first concert as the Meridian Hotel's resident pianist. It would be held in 2 weeks, and tickets were already sold out. As she played, Sarah thought about how much her life had changed. 6 months ago, she had been exhausted and hopeless, working long hours just to pay bills. Now she was planning concerts and teaching talented young musicians. But the best change was in Miguel's health. With Sarah's new salary, they could afford better insurance and more effective diabetes medication. Miguel was feeling better than he had in years. "Sarah," he had said the night before, "I know you gave up your music career for me. I've always felt guilty about that." "Don't feel guilty," Sarah replied. "Taking care of you taught me what's really important in life. It made me a better person and a better musician. But aren't you angry about the time you lost?" Sarah thought about this carefully. "I'm not angry about the past. Those 5 years taught me to appreciate music in a way I never did before. When you lose something precious and then get it back, you understand its true value." As Sarah finished practicing that evening, Jennifer appeared in the ballroom. "How are you feeling about the concert?" she asked. "Excited," Sarah said, "and grateful. A few weeks ago I thought I would be a waitress forever. Now I'm planning my first official concert." "You deserve all of this success," Jennifer said. "You took an incredible risk that night. You could have failed in front of 300 people. But I didn't fail," Sarah said. "I remembered that I'm a musician. I remembered who I really am," Jennifer smiled. "And now thousands of people know who you are too." The next morning, Sarah received a phone call that surprised her. It was Elena Kozlov, the famous pianist who had been supposed to perform at the gala. "Ms. Martinez," Elena said, "I've seen the video of your performance. It was absolutely beautiful. I wanted to congratulate you personally." Sarah was amazed. Elena Kozlov was one of the most famous pianists in the world. "Thank you so much," she said. "I'm sorry you were sick that night." "Don't be sorry," Elena laughed. "If I hadn't gotten food poisoning, you might never have had your chance to shine. Sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways." Elena had called for a specific reason. "I'm organizing a concert tour for young classical musicians," she explained. "I would like to invite you to join us. You would perform in New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C. Sarah accepted the invitation immediately. This was the kind of opportunity she had dreamed about as a student. As she hung up the phone, Sarah looked around her new apartment. It was much bigger and nicer than the old one. Miguel had his own room, and Sarah had converted the second bedroom into a music studio. She had bought a beautiful upright piano with her first paycheck from the hotel. Every evening after work, she practiced for hours. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Music was joy again, not just work. Sarah also made time to visit her old restaurant job. She wanted to thank Maria and the other workers who had supported her. "Look at you," Maria said, hugging her tightly. "You're glowing with happiness." "I owe so much to you," Sarah said. "You're the one who encouraged me to tell Jennifer about my musical background." "I just saw something special in you," Maria replied. "Even when you were tired and sad, you had this light inside you. I'm glad the world finally gets to see it." As Sarah prepared for her upcoming concert, she reflected on the strange turns her life had taken. 5 years of struggle had led to one night of triumph, which had led to a completely new beginning. She thought about little Emma and the other scholarship students. They were the future of music. Sarah's job now was to help them avoid the struggles she had faced, to show them that talent and hard work really could lead to success. But most of all, Sarah had learned that dreams delayed are not dreams denied. Sometimes life takes you on a longer path than you expected. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your dreams temporarily for something more important. But if you keep the dream alive in your heart, if you never completely give up hope, then someday, somehow, you might get a second chance.